Zero to Omega, all countries are bound together. This war is peace. 1984 reference.
All countries are.
When he says Zero to Omega, he's referencing the prequel to this game, which was actually called Ground Zeroes. Go figure, right? And then he's holding his finger up, looking one-eye symbolism. So I had never noticed this before, but there, see where I'm highlighting? There's like a nostril. It looks like a face there, and you guys can look at the video yourself and like pause and crap. I never noticed like a face. And then you have him upside down.
I'm sure you'll see the bigger picture eventually.
Eventually. Maybe we'll see the bigger picture, right? So yeah, I'm definitely thinking of this in a new light with him hanging upside down. It's real similar to what they talk about in the videos. I'll just go right to that.
He's inverted 180, just like a good Luciferian. What's that on the TV screen? Oh, that's just the Twin Towers. Of all the things that could have been on that television screen, does coincidence theory satisfy you? This living room is mapped out, like Manhattan. What's this? The torch lamp everyone has? No, I've never seen one like that except on this lady right here. Coincidence theory. Or is it Manhattan? We've got George, upside down, playing with himself, looking at Manhattan. What's this on the wall? Another torch? Or is that the Ark? 2 9/11s are coming, folks. Luciferian inversions abound. Double bubble imagery, 2 circles, Twin Towers, Twin Pines. That's a window, not a television. Let's take a look out this window from George's perspective. George is watching the towers fall straight down in the middle of Manhattan. There you go, folks. The Luciferian perspective. The 180 inversion.
So the reason as soon as I heard polarization say, are they referencing the Ark? Or he had the text there, I was like, it just like occurred to me. Everything just like locked into place and aligned. Because I had watched that Nassim presentation and a bunch of Nassim talks about the 64 tetrahedron grid, which basically forms this perfect geometric structure that if you had to break this down in the most simple form, you get, you know, the Star of David, the Star of Solomon, Solomon's seal, whatever you want to call it, as above, so below. So he started to look back at I can't really remember if he said he was religious or not, but he started looking back at the Bible and looking at it more as like a mathematical manual that over the ages, as people learn to learn the parables of the book and learn to be good and all this, they would eventually come to a realization of what the book actually showed them, like a free energy source or some sort of anti-gravity thing that could be produced. And they wanted it to, if it happened right away, people wouldn't have been in the right state and they would have used it for evil purposes. And what I think happened is the Bible was decoded, or some sort of entity. It could have been demonic. It could have been, it could have been in any layer of existence. Some sort of entity helped somebody decode the Bible at an earlier state so that its truest powers would be able to be used in a opposite way in which it was first intended. And if you look around you at the whole world, something allowed, some sort of technology, whether it be words, whether it be, societal structure, something got them to, on a platform, to be able to spring up very effectively and quickly to a higher plateau, to be able to look down upon civilization and do what they had pleased at the time. Some of his math is crazy, but then a lot of Nassim stuff I kind of lose a little bit. But it's good to look at what he says, because I think it has extreme parallels to Back to the Future and this basically whole intertwined message that producers of video games, movies, magazines, like everybody in the know is hinting at it, and it's a mocking, or it's, I don't know, some sort of system of awakening that is being presented on a grand level. Overall, I think something evil is about to go on, and I especially get nervous because as I'm putting the two things together, he mentions the ark as being possibly the boat, possibly the flood is coming again, because Marty McFly is, made fun of for having the vest. Is he scared to drown? Lone Scum, or Elon Musk, just came out with that car with the glowing doors. He was proposing it last year, and now, what did I catch at the end of that article? He's saying the car's released this year, 2016. He's saying in case of a nuclear disaster or a giant tsunami, like caused by earthquake, or maybe an atomic earthquake that causes a tsunami, or somehow the Tetrahedron gravitation machine creates a giant tsunami off the coast with ease. But they just call it an atomic attack in the ocean caused by whoever, and it causes a massive tidal wave. And that's the reference in Back to the Future to the, what are you, afraid to drown? Like, maybe we should all be grabbing up life vests to keep at the house, because if you live coastally, because that might be, and people have broke down the dollar too to show the tidal wave and all this shit. Well, if you coordinate all these things, maybe all these people aren't crazy. Maybe maybe there is some sort of thing coming with tidal wave atomic attack. I mean, it kind of seems like it. If there are two 9/11 style attacks, it kind of does seem like it. With them hinting a lot of it, this stuff that has correlations to Back to the Future is hinting at a tidal wave. It's crazy. This is another graph I found that I think is very important too. It shows you the image that was ingrained in ancient Egypt that was in the part 1 of this series. And I explained how the petals form the infinity loops, and this is all formed with just circles upon circles. And you'll see that the most simple form of the two circles form the Vesica Pisces here. And you almost have like an eye at every one of these intersections. This itself forms the Kabbalah tree of life, and that is the root of all Kabbalah mysticism. This 64 tetrahedron grid forms 2 octaves. It talks about it in this description, but I'll explain why I think that is important later. This is the seed space geometry that allows for all space dynamics we see, including expansion, collapse, and stillness. I don't much understand some of these. I don't understand some of these things they talk about when they say jitterbugging. But I can see that this is overlaying on top of this, and they're saying that there's 2 octaves of vector equilibrium, centered stillness, at each octave. I think you can honestly like make something like this, like, hold on one second. Okay, so I'm gonna get a few demonstrations of this property, but this is levitating water drops form spinning stars. Watch this. So you can see the shapes that it's forming, changing the strength of the field. This is ultrasonics providing this. Harmonics. Sound. And this is kind of what they don't want you to know. You can like levitate shit with ultra harmonics. It's not just ultrasound, it's multiple levels. See, it takes a star shape. As you get more harmonics, 5th harmonic, 6th harmonic, we'll see what the 8th one looks like. I'm all watching this live. We're probably going to get a similar shape. Yeah, it's practically a circle. Holy crap, that's crazy. So this is more examples of levitation with harmonics. This video is pretty cool. I guess I'll link all these things. I've looked into this before, but that, you know, this is midair manipulation while with the acoustics. And here's just like a quick demonstration of how they're able to do that. This technology obviously has use and is suppressed for whatever reason. I mean, I don't see this on nightly news. I don't really watch the news, but I don't really expect to see them talking about ultrasonics. D-A-Y. The dry ice is cool, right? And they're able to like float the styrofoam in that field there. That is just crazy. Makes you wonder. They might just be using ultrasound to make. It's not CGI in when they do the demonstrations. They could just be using ultrasound to levitate droplets of water. Like think about it, the most expensive ultrasound machine, like $6 billion, is float water droplets in the air. Sound is like probably the least explored facet of science, and they probably suppress it for a reason. Our musical, the music that we all listen to is put on 440 hertz A tuning, but so this is the difference of water sound image between 440 hertz and 432. 440 is what, if you look on like if you were to tune a piano or to tune an instrument, the tuner has an option to set it to like A440, but most music, or pretty much all the music you hear in the mainstream, everything is tuned to 440 hertz as a just to add to more, cognitive dissonance. Like, look at how less of a shape you have here, but you kind of do see you can faintly see the cube, Metatron's cube inside that, can't you? As above, so below. But this one is just way more intricate. This is cubing us because of that faint shape you can see in there. I can see Metatron's cube in there right away. I didn't see it right at first, or not Metatron's cube, but yeah, I guess so, because you have this would be the picture. This is a ball here and a ball here, and then you would have your diamond up top. You would just have that full cube, as above, so below. And that, that's crazy. I've never even seen that before.
Knowing what we know now, we should all see ourselves like Marty McFly here. We're armed with some information that is kind of unbelievable, but very true. It's very dangerous as well. Throughout this film, we're shown 9/11 here. But let's take a closer look. Now, we're shown two 9/11s throughout the film. Did they tell us the year? I think they did. I think this scene that shows us the two 9/11s is a place in the film that shows us the year as well. Now look closely inverted. We have our 16.
Spherical flask of fluid, and you look into the center, and in the center see a glowing blue-purple light, which could be seen with the unaided eye. It looked like a star in the heavens.
Seth Putterman called it the star in a jar, a tiny spot of bright light contained in a flask of liquid. This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star. What made the phenomenon so exciting was the temperature of this star in a jar. On its surface alone, the light burns at tens of thousands of degrees. And Seth Putterman now contemplated a tantalizing possibility. Could the core of the collapsing bubble be even hotter? Hot enough for fusion?
One of the mysteries of solar luminescence is to determine exactly how hot the interior of the bulb gets. In the sun, the interior can be millions of degrees, hot enough to cause fusion. And the thought crossed my mind that perhaps inside the collapsing bubble, the interior of the bubble might also get hot enough to cause fusion.
If so, this would be something truly amazing. By simply bombarding tiny bubbles with sound waves, temperatures of over 10 million degrees would be created. And nuclear fusion, the same reaction that powers the sun, would be happening almost effortlessly here on Earth.
So back to this diagram, because I want to kind of link it back to that star demonstration in the water. Somehow I feel like you can even create the fields like within the air. Well, it was shown, and the levels of our harmonics produce different geometric shapes. So I don't know. What I'm trying to say is like the 8-8 can represent the 64 tetrahedron grid, which is right here. But it could also be 8, the two octaves that produce the levitation field. And it can be used for anything. You heard that those temperatures of that bubble, how hot they were. It could provide fission. So I very well think that a mechanism or a energy field, it doesn't have to be visible with your eyes, but maybe because it was back in the times where people had a better connection to the reality around them, they could actually see the tetrahedron in front of them forming. Or if you were a of the mystic tradition and you know that you devoted your life to that, you would be able to see it and be within the field of it. But other than that, if you were just a lay person, you would not be able to see it. But this energy field could have been used to create some sort of giant inward explosion that caused the towers to drop. And there's plenty of video and evidence that provide that. I really don't know which theory to believe, but we don't know how brainwashed we are. We don't know how much technology has been suppressed. People just need to think outside of their normal everyday awareness to start putting the pieces together. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. So here you have correlations between the hexagrams from the I Ching, which if you've seen that is like the yin yang with all these etchings around it all the way around. And what Nassim does, he was pondering all these different things and like what their relation to the 64 phase tetragrammaton was, and he had a realization that they're all the sticks for creating. Like if you remember the connects or the toys you used to make like little geometric shapes with, or people know what I'm talking about. If you these are representative of that, and the ones with gaps only represent where there was intersecting lines. Not all the pieces. That this would be the top piece that would have no intersecting lines. You get what I'm saying? So the ones that have a lot of things, these were inner things that had a lot of places where there was crosses. Now this is a chart showing you the relationship between Hebrew and their chart. So this is another chart that just shows you how to build it just from nothing. It starts with the void, the dot, spherical, and then you get the Visca Pisces forming a little football in the middle, the tripod, and it starts building to the seed of life. And then from there you get your Seal of Solomon or the Star of David. And you can get all these different things. The Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the Y and the Y inversion forming the X. And this is where that's the grid. Because this can show you time space too, because it also forms a three-dimensional grid other than a hexagon. If you look at these intersecting lines as going off into infinity, and this is the y-axis coming down. This is DNA, light, a wave through time, a sound wave, a sine wave. This chart also shows you how the egg of life, which is made from the flower of life, and is really just 7 spheres, will form the cube in the middle. See that? Here's another breakdown. You get the cosine. Here's an important picture I think I should show. One of the first things I notice about some of these Hebrew letters were they were very similar to pi. So this little slide grabbed me out right away. You got the 26 Tetragrammaton, the holy name of God, translates to this, Jehovah, or YHWH. Now, so you see these totaling the 13, Lord God, 26. And when you get the mirror image of that, that's where you get your 31 years. And that's what I believe we are seeing when we see this image of 31. It's the inverse of 13. So you have this chart. It's going to be kind of tiny, but I really wanted it because it showed the layers of the pyramid, like what they totaled to. And the name of God, the last level of the pyramid, you saw in the other slide, is totaling to 26. And that's why the 26 is just so important, and it should have been mentioned in the 26-year gap between Kennedy's assassination and the second release of Back to the Future 2. I don't know if anybody has mentioned that, and it really correlates with this Tetragrammaton and the inverse of it, the triangle. And if you see the Y, the flux capacitor, over the face of this, you'll get the rest of that shape. And we have 10, significant of October. 15 is the next level, 5 plus the 10. And we've seen 5 be significant with the launching of the Juno. It took 5 years to get in. Metal Gear Solid 5. There's so many other ones I'm not thinking of right now. The 21 is significant of October 21 on the dash of Marty McFly's DeLorean. What was that be? 1021. 15 is the inverse of that infamous 51 we keep seeing show up on the dashboard of, let's see, Marty McFly's DeLorean. Then we also have 851 was when Matt Lauer got interrupted and broke the news, or went to commercial before breaking the news on 9/11. 51 was the extra cutscene in Metal Gear Solid 5 that was only released on the special edition that showed the Twin Towers and said, "It's not over, not yet." You have 26 being a day on the dash, of which Marty McFly goes back. It's like October 26th, right? I don't know. I'm going to watch the series because I have it. So I have it fresh in my mind. But yeah, they go back. And 15 ends up breaking down to 11 plus. 26 ends up breaking down to 15 plus 11. And the great name of God is 72. But if you watch Nassim's description, he says that's only one half. You need the polarization of it, which would be the inversion, the other triangle, and that would give you the 144. It's probably also why the 33 is significant, because it looks a lot like these original rune scripts. So I find it funny that the scripts that represent H's look like 33s in Aramaic and Phoenician. HH in our simple gematria, English simple gematria, breaks down to 88. I've already said that like a few times. So that's just, that, to me, that's crazy. That is crazy. Because you see the 33 on the dash, which I've tried to say, you know, you superimpose them over themselves and you can get, like if you took the reverse of 88, and I mean 33, and superimpose it over the like the regular inversion of it, it would just become an 88. But here's another way in which you can do that. I mean, these 33s in old language, I know although read right to left, they're 33s in this part of the world with just a little extension on the bottom. They represent H's, which represent 88s. It's crazy. So, regardless of what you believe, I just research all forms of mythology, and I'm just including just different correlations that I have found. Regardless of what you believe, you do have to admit that there is a lot of symbolism involved with the games, the movies, and particularly the use of 88, 9, 11, 6, 6 and 9. I found it funny too. The meaning of Jehovah could be also understood as he who will be, is, and has been. And I find that to relate to Back to the Future because it's the three tenses of time, and they go to the past, the present, and the future, and they're all three of them are present in every single one of the movies in this trilogy, and at the same time the last one is in the past, 1886 or 1885. The first one goes back to the 50s, 55. And then the second one goes into the future to 2015.